It's NFL high or low, guys. So with the preseason complete, let's continue to look at some week one spreads and how the lines have moved since they opened. Starting with the line movement from maybe the biggest news of the week, Patriots releasing Cam Newton, essentially turning the team over to rookie quarterback Mac Jones. New England opened as 3-point favorites against the Dolphins, but after the news of Newton's release, the line has dipped to 2.5. Is that too high or too low, Geoff?
I mean, I would say it's a little too low. I mean, I'm not sure why Mac Jones beating out Cam Newton would cause this line to dip. Look, we know what we had in Cam Newton last year. If the Patriots all of a sudden have a better option at quarterback, why wouldn't the line go up in the Patriots' favor, right? I think you look at this matchup, and I think it's kind of a bad one for Miami. I mean, Miami led the league in turnovers last year. I think the Patriots are going to come in with a run-heavy game plan. You look at Miami's defense, it's strong on the corners. It was middle of the pack or kind of below average in terms of rush defense, though, and I think you're going to see a lot of Damian Harris and a conservative game plan in this game, and I don't think that's good for Miami. I'll take the Patriots here. I think this one is too low.
Hey, Pierce, why did going to Mac result in this line dipping?
I can't explain it. I think the line's too low, but it really has nothing to do with Mac Jones, or at least it shouldn't, and Geoff was completely right. The story here is not the quarterbacks. It's not Mac Jones. It's not Tua. It's the run defenses and the run offenses. And if you look at the two, you see that New England has the much better rush offense that should be able to take advantage of Miami, especially with New England at home. And it's Bill Belichick with a rookie quarterback. I can't imagine they're going to come out slinging the ball around, especially when they have an advantage on the ground. So a conservative approach, they should be able to win this game. I would say, I mean, maybe not easily. Miami is a really good team, but on the ground, they should be able to take advantage and win. And really, Mac Jones is not the story here.
Yeah, Pierce, I agree. I believe the Patriots will probably take a more cautious approach. First time Belichick's ever started a rookie quarterback in the Belichick era, at least in New England. AJ, how do you feel about this line? Too high, too low?
Definitely too low. I'm with the guys here. You know, we've been talking all week about how Jones as the starter improves the Pats offense across the board. You know, the Dolphins defense has some question marks, I think at least. And I think New England could take advantage of that. Look, for me, the benefit to this line being too low is that you can look at the alternate lines on the DK Sportsbook. I would not be surprised to see the line move back up over, you know, a field goal difference. But if you want to do that yourself right now, you can get the Pats minus 3.5 and get plus 115 value on those alternate lines. So I think it's a good opportunity to capitalize on that.
How about one of the marquee matchups for week one, gentlemen? The Browns visiting the Chiefs. This one has been up and down and all around, with the Chiefs favored by as much as 6.5 points and as little as 5.5, and now sits right smack dab in the middle at 6. Too high or too low, Pierce?
I'll go with too low. Kansas City 7-1 in openers with Andy Reid. They're 13-0 in September since 2017 and 11-2 against the spread. The Browns could hang in. They've got the run attack, and we know that the Chiefs struggled last year against the run, and they haven't made any changes, so they should struggle again this year. But I would expect this Kansas City offense, as explosive as it is, to get out front, force the Browns to play catch-up and pass the ball. At some point, OBJ melts down like always, and Kansas City covers with relative ease.
Okay, AJ, how we feeling?
I'm with Pierce on this one. Again, I would say a bit too low. You know, I don't love, as you guys know, I don't love the push option here, so I'd rather see the line at 6.5 or at 5.5. But I will say, if you're looking at those alternate line totals again, taking the Chiefs minus 6.5 only gets you minus 110 of value compared to minus 115. So I guess, you know, to give yourself a little bit of an out when you're not getting tremendously different value, might as well take the minus 6 spread here. But I agree with Pierce. I would expect it to move a little bit higher here, and maybe even push, you know, over 7 as we get closer to kickoff.
All right, Geoff, these two teams last met in the AFC divisional playoffs last year. You like this line?
No, it's too low. I mean, my whole spiel was going to be don't bet against Andy Reid in September, but Pierce already stole it. You know, it's the off the buy thing. Nobody prepares better when he's given that much time than Andy Reid. Look, the Browns are a nice team. I think if this line got up to plus 7, I'd be more interested, but at plus 6, it's too low. And look, the Browns do have the weapons to hang in. So I think at plus 7, you've got to make some decisions there. And potentially that means a bet on the Browns. Nick Chubb gets going. They do have the style of defense, the kind of Tampa Bay defense with some really elite guys out there like Myles Garrett that could potentially give Mahomes trouble again. But they beefed up their O-line. It's just too low at 6 for me.
Well, the Chargers here, AJ, visiting the Washington football team. This one has moved back and forth a little bit. Washington opened as 1.5-point dogs, then moved to a 1-point favorite as a couple weeks ago. Now it's LA who is favored by just 1 point, so essentially pick 'em here. Bottom line, it's a close one, but is 1 point too high or too low?
I think it's about right. I mean, honestly, I'd be looking more money line overall in this one, just to, take any kind of that uncertainty out of there. But, Justin Herbert put together a really solid season last year, 31 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. I haven't seen any indication that he can't do that again. On the other side of the ball, obviously, Washington, it's going to depend on which version. Do you get just regular old Fitzpatrick, or are you getting Fitzmagic, right? Can Antonio Gibson take on a larger share of the rushing game and see more opportunities here and increase his yardage? Obviously, he's not going to do much on third downs. They kind of have that role already assigned elsewhere. So I have question marks for Washington, a little more certainty with the Chargers. And so from that standpoint, I think it's in the right spot to have LA favored. But I would just avoid the spread on this one and just go Chargers on the money line.
Geoff, which side do you fall on here?
I think this one is way too low. I think the Washington football team's getting a little bit disrespected here. It's the top 3 defense from last year. Ron Rivera took this team. They were 6-3 against the spread at home. And now he's going up against a rookie head coach week 1. I know it's week 1 and like the fatigue factors and thing, but this is a team that's going to be flying coast to coast for his rookie head coach's week 1 appearance. I like Justin Herbert too. I like the Chargers, but Washington's a buzzsaw on defense. They've got Gibson. Regardless of what you think about Ryan Fitzpatrick, he's an upgrade over what they had at quarterback last year. He really is. I think Washington deserves to be the favorite, and I think they should be close to a 3-point favorite. So this is, to me, the biggest discrepancy that we've talked about so far.
Pierce, do you believe Washington's being disrespected here?
I do. I'm on the exact same page here as Geoff. You've got a top 30, third best DVOA last year with Washington, and they've added players. You've got a defensive guru at head coach, and I'm a sucker for Fitzmagic. We know that Scary Terry is good. I think Curtis Samuel is an underrated receiver, and we're going to see him become a better receiver now that he has more of a focus and a decent system around him. Antonio Gibson should have a breakout this year. I like Washington on both sides of the ball. I know that the Chargers are good, but hey, you get the West Coast traveling to the East Coast. Maybe that's a little bit of an advantage as well. But I'm with Geoff. Washington should be favored in this game.
All right, guys, we have time for our last one here. Let's speed it up just a wee bit, though, please. Geoff, the Seahawks have been on a steady rise since lines opened for Week 1. They started as 1.5-point favorites, now sit at 2.5 in their Week 1 matchup against the Colts. So Carson Wentz's status still up in the air. He's got the foot thing, was on the COVID list. So is this one too high or too low?
Again, it's too low. The Seattle's just been playing possum all preseason. Haven't heard anything about them. No big injuries. They added Eskridge on offense. Yeah, they've got the rush defense to stop Jonathan Taylor. When it boils down to it, Emerson, it's Russell Wilson versus whoever the Colts are going to throw at quarterback. This one, I think, is going to get up to 3.5 by game time. It's too low right now. Give me the Seahawks.
Okay, Pierce, how do you feel about it?
Two good defenses, but this early in the season, we're going to see mistakes from both teams. So who's best to take advantage of those? And it's going to be Seattle. They've got an explosive offense. We've got to imagine if Wentz plays, they're going to be pretty conservative. They'll be good down the road with a good offensive line, but I can't imagine they're going to be able to take advantage of the mistakes this early in the season.
And, AJ, it's Russell Wilson and a new-look offense under Shane Waldron.
Yeah, I think it's absolutely too low. We saw this morning Wentz and Kelly and Pascal all are off the COVID list, but I don't think that really matters that much. You mentioned, obviously, the foot injury here, but personally – I'd be willing to go as high as -4.5, which you can get plus 130 on the DK Sportsbook. But if you want to be really bullish and favor the Seahawks by a full touchdown, -6.5 returns plus 170. I really don't hate that bet. It's maybe a little too far for me, but it certainly has some value there.